All right, so for problem number 15, we have the function. Let me write it a little bigger. It's y equals x cubed minus 4x. And they want to know the area of the shaded region. The interesting thing here is that if I calculate this straight through on my calculator, remember that all this stuff under the x-axis, this will have a negative value or this will have a positive value. Now the practical application for this is sometimes we would want the absolute area under the curve. In other words, we would want to maybe put this in absolute value brackets and do the same here. Another technique we could do is figure out where that point is, where it crosses the x-axis, and then do two evaluations. In other words, we would say from A to B plus B to C. And if this was the negative thing, we would take the absolute value of it. Something like this. And that would give us the value. So I got to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure. But since it says the area of the shaded region, I'm going to assume that they may or may not want us to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to first graph the function. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to clear this out, and the function is x raised to the third power minus 4x. All right, and we're going to graph that. Whoops, I got to adjust my window a little bit. We'll do standard, which is 10 by 10. And now I want to take second calc, and I'm going to choose option number 7 to evaluate the area under the curve. And we're going to go from 0 to 3, it looks like. So 0 is my lower limit. 3 is my upper limit, and I get 2.25. Well, as I look, 4 times 2 would be 8. I think it's 9, right? Is that, or 9/4? No? So it's not 9/4. So now here's what I got to do. What happened is, and I'll show you in a second, this area underneath, this little area right here, that's going to be a negative value. And so I got to figure out where they actually cross. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the 0 of the function. So I'm going to go, I got to move my cursor around, and I'm going to go this way. Whoops. And I'll hit enter, a little bit to the left, and do the right bound. Then yes, and my 0 occurs at 2. So when x equals 2, y equals 0. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to recalculate the area under the curve. So I'm going to hit option number 7, but I'm going to go from 0 to 2, and I get -4. So now what that tells me is from this, I just evaluated this, where b equals 2, and I get a -4, but I want the absolute value of that. Now let's evaluate the second side. So now I'm going to go from 2 to 3. So I'm going to say second trace to pull up the calculate menu, option number 7, to get the area under the curve, and I'm going to go from a lower limit of 2 to the upper limit of 3, and that yields 6.25. And so then that becomes 6.25, or 10.25. Now I can convert 10.25 to, I think it's this, 41/4.